Our next consideration is to examine and explain the factors that affect, influence, or even determine supply of a commodity. That if a commodity is to be put on a market at a given price, what are the factors behind its supply? What may have led to its supply, either in large quantities or in small quantities? Hence, factors that affect, factors that influence, factors that determine supply. And usually, the following factors are regarded as the major ones: price of the commodity, price of a jointly supplied commodity, price of a competitively supplied commodity. That is why it was very important for us to first define the relationship between goods. Some goods are supplied together, one is inseparable from the other, whereas others are supplied in a competitive way. The moment you supply one, you will not be able to supply the other because they are all competing for the same resource. Then the cost of production, the state of technology, that is the know-how, the method you use in the production of a good or service. As we're going to explain, we shall see how technology can be in favor or not in favor of increased supply or supply of a good. Then the goal, objective of the producer supplier. Different producers have different objectives, they have different goals, and these are going to be guiding their supply of a particular good. Then government policy towards the production of a good. We are living in a mixed economy. Even if you are a private investor, there is a way government is going to influence your production. So again, that takes us back to why we studied the economic systems. So if we are in a mixed economy, what is the role of the government as far as production is concerned? So government policy towards the production of a good may either be favorable or unfavorable, and hence influence supply accordingly. Number of producers. Again, we saw that in supply, it may not be just one producer, but there may be many, there may be few, there may be only two. So how many are you? And that will determine the quantity of that commodity which is put on the market. Political climate, market size, also referred to as demand for the commodity, level of entrepreneurial skills, then terms of service or working conditions at the workplace for the laborers who contribute to the production of that good. Then the natural conditions, some factors are natural and there is no way we can avoid them. So how do they impact on our supply? Do they give us a high supply or low supply as they may prevail? Then gestation period, as we shall see, this is mainly for agricultural commodities, and you look at the time it takes for that commodity from when you planted it to when you are going to be putting it on the market, and is that time ample enough to give you the required supply as price changes or as prices change? And also the land tenure system. Land tenure system deals with the ownership and use of land. Who owns land and who uses land? Is the owner the user, or is the user different from the owner? And if the owner and the user differ, then it's going to have a significant impact on the level of supply. But if the owner again is the user, again supply will be varying in a different way. So these areas are very important, and we find that all of them are there, and we find that when we are looking at the low supply, we considered only the price of the commodity. So it was the price which we considered to determine the law of supply, and all these others were kept constant. So that's when you talk of the higher the price, the lower the quantity supplied, and the lower the price, the lower the quantity supplied. Other factors kept constant. These are the other factors which affect or determine supply, but for getting the low supply purposes, we were not considering them. We maybe kept them in a drawer, and now we are opening them. We are opening our drawer and bringing them out because we are no longer looking at the low supply alone, but factors that influence the entire supply of a given commodity. And we find that the price again is there. And with the price, we are following the law of supply, that the higher the price, the more the quantity that will be supplied, and the lower the price, the lower the quantity that will be supplied. So higher prices attract bigger supplies, yet lower prices attract low supply of a particular product. Then number 2, price of a jointly supplied commodity. Jointly supplied commodity are commodities where the supply of one brings about the supply of the other. For example, there is no way you may be a supplier of coffee. You are a supplier of coffee, let's say the coffee beans, and you find that we shall also be able to supply the coffee husks. These two are inseparable, because they are one crop, they are one product. But it is you, after processing and you take out what you want, then you also create the other. You want coffee beans for your coffee powder as a beverage, and it is your final product. But there is no way you can have this beverage with a very nice aroma without having coffee husks. You cannot say that you are going to use the coffee husks also to put into your milk or to have it as a drink. No way. The husks are mainly required in the poultry farming. They need them to put them on the floor for our cocks and chicks. And you find that they also use that fertilizers in the banana plantations or for paper crops, even coffee itself. The husks go back to generate the kind of fertility that we want for bumper kind of harvest. So these two are supplied together. The same with meat and hides. You cannot say that, no, for me, I'm interested in only hides. Let me take the hide off the cow and I leave the cow there moving. It is not human even to, like, even if you want feathers from a cock, you can't say that, let me remove the feathers. For me, they're the ones I want, and I'll leave the cock moving maybe until it grows new feathers. No way. The same with these other animals which have fur, like the sheep, and they have to, they shear them or cut off the fur for clothing to be used in the cold season, and they are mutton. So these two are inseparable. And you find that whenever there is an increase in supply of one, you are going to produce more coffee powder. Definitely that will lead to production of more coffee husks. If you are going to avail more meat, either from cows or from sheep, definitely there will be more hides or from the sheep and the cows. So these two, we say that their supply is joint. They have a joint supply, it is inseparable, and there is no way you can increase the supply of one without increasing the supply of the other. And when you reduce the supply of one, you find that less meat is on the market. Automatically, there will also be less hides from the animals as a result of a reduction in the supply of meat. Not only do we have commodities that are jointly supplied, but we also have commodities that compete in their supply. These are commodities whose supply or whose production require the same resource. So here, same resource is required for their production, and the choice will be that product with a higher price. Higher price product. So that one which is commanding a higher price on the market, your people are going to take that resource into its production and leave out the other. Because you're a producer, you're a supplier aiming at maximizing profits, and profit profits are indicated by higher prices. So where you have commodities that compete to be supplied using the same resource as we have seen with land, you choose what is commanding a higher price to be done on that land, and then you leave out the other, hence creating an opportunity cost. Then the cost of production. Production is not free. You have to hire labor. You have even to hire machines and so on. So where you find that these are factors that you bring in, you even have to buy raw materials. You have to buy fuel, you pay for power and energy. All these are an expense to the supplier or the producer. And when the cost of production, or where the cost of production is high, definitely you are not going to remain with a high profit, because you look at your income, take away the costs, and you either have a profit or a loss, or you are breaking even. You are break even. And with a profit, you find that here the income is greater than the cost. With a loss, the costs are the ones greater than the income, and break even, income is the same as the cost. So you have to be very observant, and you need to have good management at your place of work. And if you find that the production and supply of a product is going to take away a lot of your profitability, then you find that many people will abandon the production of that good, whose cost of production is high and its supply in the market therefore will be small or very low. Yet the production of that commodity, which incurs lower cost of production, its supply is high. So commodities with high cost of production, they tend to have low supply on the market. Yet commodities with low cost of production, they tend to have high supply on the market. State of technology. Technology is simply the know-how or the method. Know-how or method of combining factors of production to come out with a final good or service. And the technology, as we have already noted or hinted, we have the capital intensive, we have the labor intensive, and we have the neutral or intermediate technology. So now you find that the state of technology deals mainly with the efficiency and productivity of the farm or the producer. Methods of production which are efficient usually lead to high supply, yet inefficient methods of production lead to low supply. They are not productive, and you find that as a producer, you have to consider or evaluate which methods you are using. Usually the capital intensive or the use of more machines in the production process leads to efficiency and high productivity, hence giving us higher supply. Yet labor intensive, which is commonly used in the developing countries because of the limited skills and the presence of an abundance of unskilled labor, that one leads to low levels of efficiency, low levels of productivity, and eventually low supply of a commodity. So state of technology is very important in determining the supply of a commodity. Modern, efficient methods of production and technology lead to higher levels of supply, yet inefficient, backward, rudimentary, and maybe old-fashioned methods of production, they lead to low levels of supply. Then we have the goal or objective of the producer. Producers mainly have two goals, either to maximize profits or to maximize sales. Somebody who wants to maximize profits will make sure that you limit supply in order to sell at a higher price and get maximum profits. So a supplier with a goal of profit maximization tends to supplies low output. Why? He tends to create an artificial shortage. He gives in as low output as possible to make the consumers understand or try to conclude that the supply of that commodity is not enough and be able to offer a higher price. And whenever they offer a higher price, then you'll be able to maximize his profits. Why? Because that is his objective, to maximize profits. So his supply will always be low for the purpose of creating an artificial shortage so that higher prices can be given for his product, and in the end he gets maximum profits. Yet, if the objective is sales maximization, you want to sell as much as possible, there you can't sell what you don't have. So you have to supply more, so that the more you supply, the more you're able to sell, and eventually the rate of stock turnover is going to be high. The rate at which you bring in stock and it goes, you bring in and it goes, there you'll be compensating for the maximum profits which are obtained via higher prices. For you, your prices may be low, but consumers are taking them because with the demand, the lower the price, the more the quantity that will be taken from the market. Other factors remaining constant. So with the sales maximization, prices are usually low, and customers are attracted towards these products with lower prices, and you are continuously bringing in and selling out, bringing in and finishing whatever you have, and for that matter, your supply has to be high. So the goal being profit maximization leads to low supply, yet where the goal is sales maximization, suppliers tend to supply a big quantity of their product. Then we have the other determinant factor. We have seen the price. We have seen price of another good, price of a commodity good, cost of production, technology, and objective. Now let's look at government policy towards the product. Government policy is also twofold, whereby if that policy is not taxing, then it is aimed at subsidizing the supplier. You either tax him, tax the supplier, or you subsidize him. So you look at a supply of a commodity, and in demand you may have noted that some commodities are essential, some are the necessities, and you cannot do without them. So you find the usefulness of the product to the society. Usefulness of the product to society. How useful is that product? Cigarettes a necessity. Will my community be suffering hunger because they have not been able to take a cigarette? Or is a cigarette just destroying people's life? The same with alcohol. So you look at the usefulness. Is soap equally useful as the alcohol, or one is more useful to society than the other? So you have to evaluate the usefulness of the product to the society. And here the government will now decide which commodities to tax heavily, which commodities not to tax at all, because we have those which are tax-free, and then which commodities to tax leniently. It also needs the taxes, because these taxes are the amounts of money which are converted into public goods and services. What government provides, and everybody has to enjoy them without exclusion. They come from the money levied from the producers or income earners of whatever category. So, government policy towards the production of a good. If government wants to promote the production of a good because it is useful to society, government will subsidize the supplier. A subsidy is a reduction in the cost of production shared between the producer and the government. If you are going to be supplying sugar, government may say that, okay, in order to reduce on your cost of production, because sugar is essential, even soap is essential. As government, we are going to embark on payment for this, and for you to pay for the other, but you are not to pay the entire cost by yourself. So there you are being subsidized, sharing the cost of production with the government, and in the long run, you come out with the final product, which is selling at a low price, because in most cases, our commodities are expensive because of the cost of production. But where the cost of production is low, the final price is also going to be low. So when government shares the cost of production with you, there is no justification for you to charge a high price. Already the cost of production has been shared, therefore go ahead and charge a lower price so that that commodity can be availed to all the consumers in a convenient way and affordable way. So government policy towards production, when it is a tax, it increases the cost of production for the supplier. And when the cost of production increases, as we've already seen there, supply reduces, or less will be supplied on the market, as it is very expensive to produce that commodity. But where government is subsidizing the supplier or the production of a good by sharing the cost of production with the supplier, the price is going to be low, and you find that in the long run, many people are going to afford to supply that particular product, because it is not the supplier who is going to face the cost of production alone individually. No, he's sharing the cost of production with the government, hence leading to increased supply of that good which is subsidized, yet commodity which is taxed is going to be in limited or reduced supply. The number of producers, I think this one is the easiest to understand. The more producers we have of a good, the more will be supplied, or the greater will be the quantity that will be put on the market. If we have like production of coffee, if more people go into the growing of coffee, we shall have plenty of coffee in Uganda. But if there are only few, maybe in the central alone, and maybe on the mountains of Rwenzori and Mbale for the Arabica coffee, and you find that you just find a pocket of farmers who are engaged in the growing of that coffee, definitely the supply is going to be small, or it needs low supply. Why? Because the number of participants in the production of that good are few. So many growers or many suppliers, many suppliers lead to bigger supply, bigger or higher supply of a good. Yet few suppliers lead to smaller or less supply of a good. So that's how you can explain the number of producers. For each of these points, you have to give the two sides, when the factor is favorable and when the factor is unfavorable. It is favorable to supply more with many suppliers, yet it is unfavorable to supply when you have few suppliers. They will give you a small supply. Then political climate. Political climate is very vital, whether in industry, whether in agriculture, or whether in the provision of services. We need to be contented in our places of work, in our areas of work, in our regions of work, so that we can come out with a maximum output. Political instability demobilizes people and their resources, and they'll be running for their dear life and property. So where there is political instability, generally there is no production. People are on the run, resources remain idle, others are destroyed because of fighting and that kind of thing, or insecurity. So political climate where it is stable. With a stable political climate, supply increases, whereas with an unstable political climate, supply reduces. Then market size or demand for the product. We find that we produce not for ourselves. When you come to the topic of production, you shall know that production is done for the consumer. You as a supplier, your purpose is to produce and the consumer will buy from you. So if that demand which is portrayed by the consumer is not there, then it is not a good indicator for you to supply more. So the market size or the demand is your indicator. You know indicators. People who drive cars, you know how you show people that I'm going to this side. And you find that even the traffic lights, they can also be regarded as indicators. They indicate for you that now move ahead, now stop, or prepare to move. So the market size is our indicator for the supplier. Is the demand for my product there? And if the demand is there, how do I know? This is indicated by the consumers ready to offer a price that you have attached to your product. So if consumers are ready to offer that price for your product, then the market is existing. And once the market is there, the indicator is showing you consumers want your product. They are ready to offer that price. Go ahead and supply more. So if the market size is big, if demand for the commodity is high, automatically the supply of that commodity increases. Yet where you find that you are producing something and nobody comes to ask for any given quantity from your place of sale, you chose a wrong kind of business. You need to choose or to make a market survey to find which commodities are demanded so that you don't go into losses or even closure of your business. So market or demand for the commodity is very vital in influencing the amount that is going to be supplied. Availability of a large market leads to high supply, yet absence of a market leads to limited or low supply. Then we have the level of entrepreneurial skills. This entrepreneur is the organizer. If it's not there, factors of production are going to be there and remain idle, and there will be no supply of any good. So these are the organizers, the risk takers, the innovators, the decision makers, and if there are many in an economy, they are going to invest their money where they see it profitable. And the more investments that are undertaken into the production of a commodity, after many people making a decision to produce it, this will lead to high supply. But if these enterprising people in your economy, in your region are very few, then there will also be fewer people to organize production, leading to low supply of that particular good. So we need as many as possible of these entrepreneurs who have the skills and they have the decision to undertake the risk and venture into the production of a good, not knowing whether it will be profitable or not, but simply taking it by chance. The more they are, the more will be the supply of that commodity, and the reverse is also true. Then in terms of service or working conditions, in order to have a large output, workers need to be working in conditions that are favorable to them, that are conducive, that are human, so that in the long run they are able to give out their utmost. When a laborer gives you the utmost, it leads to a big supply. But where the working conditions are not conducive, people are suffering, they are ever complaining, they are working because of low pay, they are working because of no breaks at the place of work, there is no food, no fringe benefits, everything is just, I would say, crazy. You find that they will not be having the morale to work and give you a large output, leading to low supply of your product. But where you are making them happy, you give them allowances, you give them meals at the workplace, some are even given accommodation, definitely they'll become efficient and give you a high level of output, which increases the supply of your product. Natural conditions. Natural conditions also can be either favorable or unfavorable. Too much of anything is not good. Too much rain leads to floods, and absence of rain leads to a drought. So all those are natural. At one time in Uganda here we had the locusts, and as they were still existing, that's when we had COVID. I don't know whether COVID was the one which eradicated the locusts, but at least we had that problem. Locusts were there, and it was a grave problem. They were destroying our crops, but all of a sudden when COVID emerged, we forgot all about the locusts and they disappeared. So there may have been a trick in COVID in combating the locusts, but at least these are unfavorable factors. Floods are destructive, drought is destructive, locusts or pests are also destructive, and whenever they destroy our production ventures, they lead to low supply of that good. But when the factors are favorable, if they are in favor of production, the rain is just adequate, the sunshine is just enough, the pests are not there, or they can be controlled, definitely supply is going to be promising, and the amount that will be put on the market will be a higher amount. So natural conditions, whenever they are unfavorable, they lead to low supply, and whenever they are favorable, they lead to high supply of that particular good. Gestation period. This one deals mainly with agricultural commodities, and it is the time from planting to harvesting time. How long does it take for a crop to mature? You might find that according to supply, when prices increase, you are supposed to increase the quantity supply. Now the price, maybe the price of maize may increase, and they want to buy each kilogram from you at a price of 5,000 shillings, which is actually very attractive. But will you be able to have mature maize within 1 day? No. We know that maize takes at least 4 months to mature. So that price of 5,000 may be there attractive, but no supply of maize may be on the market. Why? You have to wait from the time of planting to the time of harvesting. These commodities are seasonal. They appear only at certain seasons, and you might find that even if you plant and it's not a season for planting or growing that crop, it will simply dry, it will not be there. So you find that the gestation period plays a very important role in determining the supply. Where it is short, you can be able to increase supply, because within a short time you can organize the factors of production and come out with a final product, which is common with manufactured or industrial products. Yet for agricultural commodities, however high the price may increase, you cannot be able to increase the supply. The reverse is also true. You may have planted your maize expecting to get a higher price of 5,000. All of a sudden, the price of maize comes down. And whenever the prices reduce, you are supposed to reduce supply. But you have already planted. Are you going to cut down some of the maize so that you remain with only the supply that will be conforming to the low price? No. They will call you mad. The man has gone mad. He's cutting down maize. It was about to mature. Why? Because of the low prices. Is that rational? So all those have to be considered. That if the prices increase, but it is not season for that commodity, you may not be in position to increase the supply, as some of these commodities are seasonal and others take a long time to mature. From the time of planting to the time of harvest, there has to be a waiting time or a time lag, which may not permit increased supply. But where it is short, then maybe for the industrial ones, you can organize factors of production within a short time and be able to avail. That's why at the beginning of our supply, we are able to look at the supply periods. Very short run, and then the long run. Within the short run, you cannot even increase the supply. Within the short run, you can increase the supply, but cannot change the method of production. Whereas in the long run, you can change everything and even switch over from one production or a commodity to another. Then another factor is the land tenure system. Land tenure deals with who owns the land and who uses the land. How is land being used in your area? Does it belong to private individuals? Is it public land belong to the government? Can government assist people in acquiring land in order to go ahead and produce? So where the land tenure system is flexible and people can be made to acquire land, this can be able to increase supply. Why? Because all production is done on land. However much you may want to produce in the air, but your structure has to be arising from the ground and maybe going up. So land is very vital for all production sites. And if you can own land, then you can make your decision to produce and supply a commodity from that land. You may be having other resources but no land, and for that matter, you are limited in the supplying of that commodity until you are able to acquire the land. So land being a vital factor in the production process as a site where production ventures can be located, it is very important to look at it and how it affects our supply. Land tenure system which is favorable and makes people access land much more easily leads to high supply. Yes, a land tenure system which is not favorable to many people will lead to low supply of that good or service. From there, you can have these two questions for revision or study purposes. Explain the factors that lead to an increase in the supply of a commodity. Increase in the supply of a commodity. And maybe the examiner wants 10 marks to be awarded to you. Another question, still on the same issue, you may be required to explain. This is the commonest word that we use in our questions. Explain the factors that lead to a decrease. Okay, let's not look at the decrease. That lead to higher or increased supply of commodity. Explain the factors that lead to lower or reduced supply of commodity. And this one will also require you to work for 10 marks. These questions don't need separate points. You only have to look at the keyword. Here they want you to find out when do we have increased supply, and this one is only requiring you to give those areas when our supply reduces. And we have seen the factors generally which affect supply. Again, as we may have seen in the other lessons, you look at the positive side of a point and the negative side of a point. So whenever it is negative, the factors are unfavorable. The factors are unfavorable, and whenever it is positive, the factors are favorable. And we have seen them, and we find that When is it favorable? You find that if or where we have low costs of production, low costs of production. We have modern or efficient technology. All these are positive technology, and whenever they are positive, they lead to high or more supply of a good or service. But whenever they are negative, if costs are not low, then they are high. High costs of production, then backward or poor technology, which is going to be inefficient. This one will give you low or less supply of goods and services. So you look at the points we have enumerated above or previously, and you try to rate them in a way that shows they are favoring supply or not favoring supply. So all those 15 points, they are applicable here. An increase in the price, you find that it will lead to increase the supply, whereas a reduction in the price will lead to lower supply. Low cost of production lead to higher supply, yet higher cost of production lead to lower supply. Higher backward technology leads to lower supply, yet efficient technology leads to higher supply. Working conditions which are favorable, because they are already favorable, they lead to more supply. So that is a guideline on how you can use those 3 points to answer, same points to answer 3 different questions on supply.